Great.
Good evening, Central Indiana. Welcome to JTH Construction, where tonight we have a large group of folks in studio, and we will get to them momentarily. I want to talk about my sponsors real quick. American Basement Solutions, 1-877-409-2837. Fathom Real Estate with Teresa Messmer, 765-341-8911. Drink the Creek, Cedar Creek this weekend. It's October 1st show. Beatles versus Stones and Dean Martini.
Oh, yeah.
Two good bands. I've seen them.
Real good.
Bland & Boys Lawn Care, 765-315-9656. Findhelp.org, that is Judge Williams' group. Had him in studio just a few weeks ago talking about that. Wayman's Furniture, Appliance, and Mattress, 765-342-4339. Wellsprings, Bob Goodrum's group. Bob Goodrum, happy birthday, 765-346-6661. Stids Comfort System, they made me shut it off in here tonight. Everybody was cold, 765-346-0195. Logan's Cosmos at Hair Divas, 765-318-3388. And Who's Your Web Nerd, 317-640-4398. That's all I got, Beth. Good show. We'll see you guys. Are they pros? They're all bunched together like a big happy family down there. All right, in studio.
Can't see you, Kevin. Where'd you go?
I'm fine. Trust me. They see enough of me during the week. Then Friday night, homecoming. Be there. Big game.
Yeah.
Martinsville Research to Action Team is in studio. That is a mouthful. They have done a lot of work. And as said earlier by one of the individuals here in the room, they've busted their butt and they've secured a grant, an NIH grant. And this is significant for the community. And we're going to go around the room and introduce everybody. So, hey, like and share this, push it out. This is vital information for our community. And this has been years of work by most of this group in this room to get to this point. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth and kind of go around the room from there.
Okay. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Bethany. We're here with Kevin, who's up here last.
I am not.
And some other organizations throughout the community. But I've been involved with a lovely group of people now for years and some exciting news to share.
All right, I'm Stephanie Wessler, and I'm a first grade teacher at Smith Fine Arts Academy. So if I have families watching, hi. And specifically, I see my mama on there. Hi, Mom. And I'm just a community member who got involved with this group a while back, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. So hi, everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm Sa Liu and I'm a faculty member from Purdue University. I've been working with this lovely group of community members from Martinsville for almost 3 years, and we do have exciting news to share today. Glad to be here. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, my name is Wade Catt. I'm from Monrovia, born and raised, but I come to Martinsville often. I've been volunteering with this group in whatever capacity they need me since 2019. Excited to be here tonight.
Hello everyone, my name is Elena Bryant. I'm a graduate student up at Purdue University who's working on this project for a year now, and so I just want to thank you for welcoming me to the community.
Hi, my name is Ken Belt, and I'm the band director at the high school. I've been there for 6 years, but a recent and proud member of the community now.
I'm Tom Wallace. I founded MIST 6 years ago to look at all the issues we have here. And what Stephanie and Wade didn't mention is that the three of us are the incorporators of the nonprofit. So we are the local board of directors and a local community-based organization.
Hello, I'm Kathy Thorpe, and I'm a retired nurse, and I've had the privilege and honor of working with all these here on the studies down here in Martinsville. Things taken care of and get straightened up.
Hi, I'm Kenny Costin. I'm with the city of Martinsville. Had the opportunity to be with the group here since 2020. Can't think if we've worked any together 2019 or not, but a lot of exciting things this group's doing for our city, important things they're doing for our city, and we ask the citizens to help them with the studies that they're going to be doing.
Hi, my name is Neil DeLapp. I'm a long-term resident of Morgan County. I've probably been here 50 years or so, and I've been with this group now for a year and a half or so. And I'm primarily the Institutional Review Board, IRB, consultant for the group. That's large groups like Purdue and University of Chicago and IU all have institutional review groups, which protect those involved in research on humans, protect the humans involved in research.
All right. Hopefully everybody could hear the introductions. First things first, let's get to the grant, and then we can break it down on why we needed the grant and what all it involves. Who's going to be speaking on the grant? Is that Tom? Right off the bat, Tom.
Right off the bat.
You can pull it a little.
Yeah, you
pull
can.
the whole thing closer to
Yep,
you.
there you go.
Okay. Well, NIH is the National Institute of Health. And 2 years ago, we put together a grant proposal to look at an extended study of PCE and its effects upon the community and public health. And so we've just been awarded that grant. It's a 5-year grant, $2.8 million over 5 years. So it's a rather substantial grant looking at overall community health. There's going to be 3 components to it. We are working in association not only with Purdue University, but as well as Indiana University, who will be handling the neurological and cognitive studies related to it. Purdue University will be looking at the exposure values, and the University of Chicago, or University of Illinois at Chicago, will be looking at the cancer study, historical cancers, and looking at it, how it might relate to current situations.
Next, anyone? Anyone want to keep going on that?
Yes, this study has 3 components, and the most important underlying design is this is research to action, and we will co-develop an action plan with community to incorporate the research results into the action. And this is also a community-based participatory research, and we want to assess community's concern and understand the community's perception and how community members think about contamination and their exposure to contamination and the health impact due to exposure to this contamination. And we want to hear how community members think and what community members want to know, and we will incorporate all this information into our study design, into our research, and then work with community to come up with an action plan to address their concerns, community members' concerns. So this is the major features of this project. We welcome any questions, and we want to hear.
I'll ask right off the bat, because this will be soft spot. 2.5, is that what I heard? Correct? 2.8. I want to know how it's broken down and how much money the cities actually get out of that.
Does anyone want to take this?
Well, the city doesn't get any.
Oh, come on. That's all I'm doing. Now I'm leaving.
Kenny, I'm trying to get us a stage.
Okay, all right.
He walked right into that one, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bypass that question.
It is a good question, although all of the money that comes from this grant is going to come back to our community, because it's all going to be...
Because that's going to be the first thing you get asked on,
Right.
how much and where's it going.
It's all
I
going to
guarantee.
be it's all going to be coming back to our community, so all of it is being used to come back here. So even though like MISA is the big part, thank goodness for Tom Wallace, and I'm so grateful for all of the different people who are involved, Purdue, IU, the University of Illinois at Chicago. You know, they're all doing their own research projects here in Martinsville. So even though the money was distributed differently through the different programs and through MISA, the Martinsville, Indiana Superfund Site Association, in case you don't know what MISA stands for.
I did not. I do now, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Tom he's the founder of that. Without Tom, I mean, Tom does a lot of work. And if anybody doesn't know Tom, he's literally a walking encyclopedia of every information that you ever want to know. He is the the brains of the MISA. He's the, the project, he knows everything, literally one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, and Wade, super smart too. I'm the secretary, and I'm just a community member. I'm the mouth of the community. But although I understand that question, and honestly, I don't even know the answer to that question, but what I do know is that all of it is coming back here. So yeah, it's distributed through all the different places, IU, Purdue, the University of Illinois, Chicago, and MISA, and maybe other places I don't even know. But what I do know, it's all coming back to Martinsville to do research here, and so it's all going to benefit our community.
Well, I think something we need to point out too, and maybe everybody that's listening already knows this, but this is mainly looking at the vapors. And, we've been dealing with the PCE, the plumes, and water, and we've been working with the EPA. We've had the year and a half or 2 years, it seems like it's been a lot longer than that we've been working, getting their study, because being a Superfund site, EPA is committed to clean our water up. So going through our filtration system and everything, charcoal filters, our water is safe. But just as probably more important is the danger of the vapors. And I know, Dr. Liu, a couple of times you've tried to get in the homes to do some testing, and so many of the residents are hesitant to let anybody in. And I get that, I understand that. But these are situations where they come in and they monitor your air quality. If it's bad, they'll come in and they'll put, I can't remember what the
Mitigation
system in at no cost to the homeowner. So it's a win-win for all the citizens in the city to go through this. Now, I do know we looked at some elementary school students to, be volunteered for study. And we didn't get the numbers quite that we wanted there because people were hesitant. And here again, we're all concerned and we want to bang the drum, but we need to put the work in, which this group has done. And they've been banging on your doors and asking for your help. You need to let them in and study your air quality, because is more, everybody's worried about the water. Water's okay. It's the air we got to be worried about now. If I'm wrong, tell me.
No, you're correct.
Well, just to follow up on that, the EPA has been trying for years to get in to do air testing on people's houses. They did identify 200 properties to test. They've only managed over the last 3 years to test 80 properties. And out of those 80, 19 are on the list looking at possible remediation. So out of the 80 that have been tested, approximately 25% are in need of some form of remediation, which is a fairly interesting percentage. But that still leaves 120 properties that they've identified that they have not been able to get access to. And if that 25% figure is true, that means there's still another possibly 30 houses out here, family occupied, that might be subject to excessive levels of vapors in the structure. So getting in there, like the mayor said, it's no cost. They'll come in, they'll test a house. If you need something, they'll pay to have it installed. It will help relieve any liability you have, improve your quality of life, and it's going to be a added on feature of value for real estate values. So like you said, it's a win-win situation, but how do we overcome and educate people, let them be aware that this is a positive thing to be doing here?
Yeah, and these 200 homes that Tom is talking about are homes that are on the Superfund site, so up in the northwest of the city. So homes that are on some of the other plumes in the city that IDEM is taken care of, they can also get a mitigation for you. But what I've been told is time. Is that correct? Is there a time limit here as far as IDEM is concerned?
Well, I don't think so. We'd have to verify that.
Okay.
I know on the O'Neill plume, they've been very proactive. If anyone wanted to get their house tested, they've put in several.
Now, is that the one that's running northwest
on
from
Washington Street?
Washington?
Okay.
Right under the funeral.
So let's explain it just in case people don't exactly know what we're talking about. The plumes. So there are some toxic plumes that have been identified like on a map. Kevin, do you have?
I do not.
Okay, so there is a map that's available. If you go to the farmer's market, might see the map. I know that Tom and Wade are at the farmers markets. Usually anywhere that you see these shirts around, we're getting ready to get some new shirts, but anywhere that you see them, we usually have the maps with us, that kind of thing. There are some toxic plume areas that they know that there are maybe some toxic, whatever, vapor intrusion, toxic chemicals that you might be breathing. The map is put out by who? Who is the map put out by?
Oh, Purdue researchers combined information from different sources. Purdue researchers combined information from different resources, from EPA, from ADAM, and made this map showing 4 plumes on the same map, so people can see where they are regarding to the plume locations.
So
and all the maps are on our websites. So if you go to the Purdue website, the Facebook page, or the Miss Facebook page, all the maps are on there.
So like one is the O'Neill, that's on Washington Street. Then there's the Twig, if you know where Twig is located, the Harmon Becker, and the Superfund site is over by the ball field. Where that is. So that's just to kind of break that down a little bit, because we all know what we're talking about because we've been doing this, a lot of us, since 2019. Like Mayor Costin was talking about, they let people in their homes, and I let Purdue, Dr. Lou, in my home, and I don't live on a toxic plume area, but when they tested my breath, and how they test your breath, it's a super simple way to test it. It's like breathing into a straw that captures your exhaled breath into a little bag.
Like a breathalyzer?
I don't know. I've never taken one, Kevin.
Not that I have.
But they capture your exhaled breath into this little, looks like a Ziploc bag sort of thing, and then they take that back and they analyze the exhaled breath. That's how easy it is. And when I got my results, I had PCE in my breath as well as my 3 children. So then I became super involved because 12 years ago, my husband passed away of a rare gallbladder cancer. And if it had anything to do with the environment, which I don't know, but if it did, I don't want anybody else to have to go through that. So I became super interested in this kind of study. And now that they're going to do a cancer study, I'm really interested. I'm really hoping. And I know that there's anyone that hasn't been affected by cancer. Maybe you haven't, but your family member, your friend, dog, I mean, somebody has been affected.
Yeah, the EPA had mentioned that there's different ways.
Move that closer to Kenny, the mic a little bit. There you go.
The EPA had mentioned there's several different ways to get PCEs. One of them I'm thinking of is countertops. In manufacturing of countertops, there's PCEs.
Household appliances, yeah.
Different ways. So again, even if you're not on one of those plume sites, tested positive, but it could have been something else in the environment that you've been exposed to that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Morgan County seems to be at or near the top for cancer rate every year, or at least for a long time. And hopefully with this study, we can get to the bottom of how and why and start turning those numbers around. I lost both my parents to cancer. My brother had a brain tumor, non-cancerous, but how does stuff like that happen? His son had a brain tumor. Every one of us could go down the line with members of their family or friends that have dealt with cancer. So it hits home to all of us. And you don't know if it's the water or the air or a combination of, or like Kenny said, it could be something in the house. If our landlords and homeowners, renters, are they allowing you to have access? That seems to be the biggest issue. Last time we spoke was, I know they can, but the renter can't say, hey, I can do it without consent of the homeowner, because the homeowner has to take liability and then the mitigation process has to begin. Have we reached out? Have we made contact? Or excuse me, have you guys made contact with the homeowners?
The EPA's been working. They've been contacting. They have the list of homes, properties.
Can't hear you, Beth. You need it.
Can you hear me?
No. Might have to lean down.
Smack Kevin. Right. Martinsville does have a high percentage of rental properties. Owner lived in homes. I don't know.
Single family owned houses.
Yeah. So the EPA has been reaching out to owners of homes in the Superfund site. Every time we talk about the EPA, we're only talking about one area of the city. There's other IDEM who's involved with the, but EPA has been trying to reach out to in the Superfund site because they do have to get permission from the owner to be able to enter.
It's just like the Superfund site being pulled toward the ball diamonds because that's where our well field is at. And then Twig and Harmon Becker is going down Prather Drive, kind of out toward Hacker Drive and out toward the river because that's too. But again, if you're in some of those areas, there's some ordinances that have been put in place now that restrict you from digging, having construction on that plume because you're not supposed to dig down, expose the ground that's underneath of it. And here again, if I'm wrong, correct me, but most of the air vapor we have problems with, it's 4.5, 5 feet. Once it gets above 5 feet, it gets in the air and it kind of disperses and it's fine. And here again, we have our baseball diamonds where our Little League players are all 4.5 to 5 feet tall playing. And I think that's great. Yeah, I saw you guys up there several times during the Little League season, trying to get people educated on how this needs to be addressed, taken care of.
So the PCE, actually, if it's outdoors, correct, the sunlight will cause it to dissipate, right?
Right.
The problem is indoors.
Confined.
So
spaces.
when the vapors rise up through the soil, through cracks in your concrete basement or in your crawl space, comes up into the home, stays in the home. So yes, and it may be a very low exposure, but long term, exposed to that for long term, that is what could cause issues, health problems or logical problems.
Well, this is the one thing that makes our study so unique and different than most others. Most cancer or most exposure values are based upon an industrial is a very short-term exposure at a very high level. There's never really been done a study at low-level, long-term exposures, especially community-wide. When we looked in our case, this pollution started in the 60s. We're looking at virtually 60 years of this, possibly going into 3 generations, where you might have a consistent low-level, long-term exposure. And we just simply do not know how much that impacts you health-wise. But logically, anything that we know, if water is going to drip and drip and drip, it's going to drill a hole right through a stone eventually. We do know that low levels do cause other larger outcomes. So that's what we're looking at here. And the cancer study that University of Chicago will be doing will look at historic cancer and looking at a progression on a timetable. 40 years ago, what was their cancer? It's a progression if it's increased. Can be correlated to when pollution started coming into Martinsville. So we'll be looking at timelines and see what this historical data is. Then when we start looking at the data coming in from our studies, we're looking at, like Stephanie said, taking a breath test. How many people in Martinsville, breath we take, consistently have a low-level PCE system? How is that going to? We don't know that. That's one of the outcomes that we're going to be looking at.
So the last time you saw all of us gathered at different throughout the city, whether it was at the farmers market, basketball game, soccer game, Little League, at different places, we were always talking about the Showalter project. That involved testing, like Mayor Costin said, testing 6 to 11. So this project is actually, a lot of people, when we were doing the kids study, they were asking for an adult study. So yeah.
Is it the same machine that you tested the kids on?
Right. There are a couple of points on the notes we put down. One is the homeowner versus renters. So our study is a little bit different from EPA's nature. Tom, you want to say a little bit more on that?
Well, on gaining access, the EPA they went through property records, got actual homeowners, because their concept of having renters approval, they said would violate the Fourth Amendment. However, if you look at Indiana statutes, landlord tenants, the renter can allow you to come into the house and do air testing. So we can go in and do air testing if we have renters. If there anything needs to be done, however, then it has to go to
Falls
the owner,
back on the owner.
or the owner to get permission to have any remediation. So when we're looking at EPA maybe not being able to gain access, we in turn could probably gain access, do the testing, will we find anything, then give it to the homeowner. And then if homeowner wants to, they can contact the EPA to get in. So we've actually done a little round robin with EPA about how we can do this to find if anyone is impacted, that the house could be taken care of and it would be paid for.
Right. Another thing is the difference between the current exposure and the past exposure. So what the mayor described, the water has been treated and using the carbon filtration system and been treated for many years. And based on city's data as well as data from our study, we confirmed multiple times the detectable level PCE, this toxic chemical, is below the detection level. We did not find the PCE or PCE in the city water. So this is good news. And people are not exposed at the detectable level to these chemicals through drinking city water. And yet vapor intrusion still a pandemic, and we want to look into that. That's all about the current exposure. However, the health outcome we've been observing, no matter it's related to PCE or not, and cancer, as mentioned, those are contributed, if any, by the past exposure. That's why in this study, we are going to look at people's current exposure using the same instrument we used before. To answer Kevin's question, we are using the instrument mobile lab we use in Shoalwater project to measure adults exposure. That is current exposure. We are going to collect information on where people lived before, and we hope to get help from IDEM and from water facility to get historical data so we can estimate people's past exposure and see if cancer or no, cancer is not related to this. I'll talk about cancer separately. So any health outcome, health concerns, health conditions people have now, whether that's related to past exposure. So we want to separate the current exposure and the past exposure. If people are still exposed, we want to control the exposure, reduce the exposure. If we found any association and health effect, this information will contribute to the scientific knowledge, hopefully to be used by agencies to reduce exposure limits, regulation levels to benefit all the people potentially exposed to. We are going to recruit community members to participate in this study, adults. For cancer study, we are not going to recruit cancer patients from the community. We are going to use Indiana Cancer Registry data to see if Martinsville does have elevated cancer rate compared to state average, compared to other communities with the similar situation, demographic information, and healthcare situation. And if the only difference is we want to find a control community without known contamination, and then we can compare Martinsville with one or two of those kind of community to see if Martinsville does have data. Right now, we only have state level cancer data and county level cancer data. We don't have a city level cancer data. We cannot compare Martinsville with any other city to confirm Martinsville does have elevated rate and for which specific type of cancer. So we are going to use Indiana State cancer registry data to do this cancer study. And we have epidemiologists from University of Illinois, Chicago, and we have cancer epidemiologist station to help us work on this cancer study. So these are several components in this study.
Right.
It makes me have a couple of questions. How would we get, you know, you can do a state cancer research, county. How can we do it?
How can we?
Yeah. I mean, it'd have to be voluntary people.
Well, the information is there. It's just not
Yeah.
readily available to look at as just as
But aren't you
citywide.
violating HIPAA laws at some point in time if you go unannounced and get it, or do you have to go through the individual and get agreement on it?
We have Dr. Mary Tariq from the University of Illinois, Chicago. She's watching our live stream, and if she can answer this question in the chat, we can see. And who else? Wade, do you have something to say?
Well, just to that point, my understanding, I forget exactly what the name of the registry is, but there is a like cancer data is pretty robustly collected across the nation, and basically like exists outside of your medical record as well. So we would that not necessarily individual medical record be violating it.
But it'd be something that if I had some sort of cancer, I would go to the doctor, whatever they give me, document or whatever, log on to here to register. I mean, how?
It's the doctor's responsibility to register.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would be a male living in Martinsville with such and such cancer. We wouldn't ever see
Name and address and all that.
Kenny Costin,
Right.
Martinsville, and that information.
And I was just going to say something too, just to kind of summarize a lot of what we've been talking about here, because I think there's some really important points that maybe I just want to make sure people are getting. Is that like these chemicals, we know they're dangerous because people in different industries use them to wash grease off of their arms and do all of these things where getting direct contact with them in large amounts. That's not the same thing as getting a really small dose through your water or through your air over a really long period of time. And so if we can figure out that this historical
Go ahead. We can
okay.
finish Wade first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If we can figure out that this, historical cancer rates in Martinsville or rates of different neurological issues, things like, childhood cognitive issues, or even like things like behavioral problems, like dementia possibly. If we can figure out that those things are related to previous exposures over long periods of time, that's like huge information that Martinsville would be known for. Like, this is really like the most important thing about this project is that we would be hopefully contributing this understanding of how this chemical works to communities all across the country that are facing this exact same issue. And there's a real opportunity in that. And I mean, Martinsville could be known.
Because there could be communities with having a cancer rate, ours, whatever, and we tie it back to the PCE, and they may not even realize that they have a problem in their community.
Absolutely.
It's groundbreaking
That's true.
research.
Exactly.
Right, that's why we're so fortunate to have these researchers come in. I always tell Dr. Liu, I mean, I've been working with her for a while, and she's not only our researcher, she's now my personal friend, but I always tell her thank you so much, because without these guys, like, I teach first grade. I love my job and I love my children, but I'm not capable of doing what she's doing. I'm not capable of doing what Tom does. I don't know the knowledge that Neil has over there, Elena and Wade. I just don't know that. Beth is super smart too, but she's smart differently. We're smart differently. I'm
smart differently.
That's right. Right, Kevin?
I just said less smart in a kinder way.
I know.
I didn't say that. But I'm just saying that's why I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful for Tom, who puts in endless hours, of his work. And then Dr. Lou's not even from our area. She's from West Lafayette at Purdue. And And Elena came from Purdue. They're coming down here because they have developed a heart, and maybe it started as research. I don't know, but now I know they love our community and they come down here to help us.
Right.
You know, one thing to add on what Wade said, we're emphasizing cancer here, but PCE also, it affects you neurologically and behaviorally. So there are other auxiliary issues here, and we start looking at special ed in our town and kids that have behavioral problems. What is the impact of that? And we definitely know that this chemical has a direct effect upon it. So it's not just a cancer issue. It's
Right.
a larger community.
Quality of life.
Total quality of life.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Mary said, oh, it's gone. Can you scroll up just a little? He says, the state of Indiana has a cancer registry, appropriate approval from the IRB, which Neil was talking about IRB at the beginning. They will let us use the data. So this project that we're getting ready to start is actually a 5-year project. And it has, like others have been saying, different parts to the project that will progress over 5 years. It won't be until first of the year into the spring where we'll really be seeing us out a lot at that time. So we're not recruiting right now. We just wanted to come on here and announce the grant, and that we're getting ready to start a wonderful project that's going to benefit Martinsville and benefit Indiana and worldwide. Really, I mean, just everywhere.
I still have
There's no limit.
a few questions. And I think we spoke about this before. The machine that you guys use at testing on the air, is it portable? Can you set up the fall foliage and get a line of people there and test them, take name and address? I mean, I guess I don't comprehend why we can't do that. If you can go house to house with it or down the block and have them come on, but is it only in the truck?
Well, actually, it's a mobile lab, so
It is.
technically that could be done with enough pre-planning, but that mobile lab costs us quite a lot of money to bring here every time we do it too, so.
Right. I'm just looking. You have a captive audience when you're talking to a festival like that, instead of door to door, and you're hoping to hit a block, when you could get 20, 30 people a night in a 4-day period easily in one area.
Well,
Or more, because once they find out you're there, oh, I don't have to get them in my house, so I'm standing there in my underwear. I can go down and, I mean, for different reasons, you know, people won't come to the door. It's just the way it is nowadays.
Yeah.
It don't matter who you are.
well, we need the participants to be more, I guess, committed, because it's more than just collecting their exhaled breath. We need them to, you know, there are some others, like the kids. Our last study last year, they gave samples of their exhaled breath twice. So in last fall and then again this spring, and they also had to iPad assessment to check for neural issues. So the adults will have to do a lot of those same things.
Right.
So
and you're asking
if
for
we just set up at the fall
500.
foliage, we might get a lot of people to blow into a band, but they may not stick around and help us with the rest of it. And if we don't have the rest of it, we're not able to get them. So the research isn't
But you're trying to get between 300 and 500 people this time.
over 5 years.
How many people did you get for the kids?
Well,
We got about 70. We got about 70.
Kids are a little different. I mean,
Right.
parents are more, you know,
But
reluctant.
I mean, I'm not
That's why we're trying to say
playing
we
devil's
need-
advocate here.
I know.
But
that's
I mean,
why we're putting the bug in people's
I know
ear
how
now.
hard it is
too.
to. You can go out on the side of the corner and say, "Here's $20. First 15 people come to me, I'll give you $20." People are going to walk past you and say you're lying. You know what I mean? That nobody
Yeah.
believes anything. Nobody wants to anything like that.
Well, we did have 70 children that completed everything.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we have to have
initially-
everybody sign a consent form as well.
Sure, I get that.
Yeah,
I mean, they could still
Yeah.
sign it at the fall foliage, but
yeah, they could.
Alina, you want to say
I
something?
was going to explain too. Sometimes the best samples are taken at home because we're trying to assess their home exposure.
Right.
And so when you're like, you know, out of the community, breathing in other air and everything, the best samples are taken. So that way, when we did our project, we collected in the morning. They slept over.
Sure.
Well, which also.
No. Okay.
I mean,
well,
without
that makes sense.
without the correct or proper research, it's not really.
Valid.
Yeah, it's not. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
it was just an idea.
I want to say that's a very good idea.
Thank you. I'm glad someone recognized it.
And we're gonna have to have ideas like that. Like they're
No. I'll shut up now.
No,
I'll just sit
so
over
So
there.
Heather, we now meet on Wednesdays at
Right.
8 o'clock on Zoom. You can
I hope to see you
read-
first thing in the
Not
morning.
gonna happen now.
that whole
I got other
less
stuff
smart
to
thing
do.
we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so you
Join our
smart
group.
differently.
See, 70
yeah.
kids
Let-
over a
let me-
2-year
let me,
period. I can do
I
the
think
math here.
everyone's point is valid. First, we need IRB approval, and we need consent form, and we need complete data in order to do research. Without IRB, we can let people blow into the instrument to see if they have and the peak just for themselves. However, we cannot use this data for research without their consent and properly protect their privacy and confidentiality. If they blow into that in the market, everyone see that. How do we protect their confidentiality? So there are issues we need to consider. However, can be a very good engagement activity. Let people see how instruments work. Let people see if they have peaks in their Excel breath. I appreciate your suggestion.
Hey, I'm just here to help. That's all. So.
That is a good idea because there are
No, you dogged it right off the bat. Move on.
listen, there are 3 aims to our whole 5-year project, and one of the aims is community concern. So that, and it's not that your concern isn't invalid, because we literally want to hear all of that kind of things, and we will be writing all of those things down, and we're going to need a lot of people's help because some of the things that you might think of in the community there might be something. Even my 14-year-old sometimes has good ideas that I don't think of. Like he made a suggestion tonight. We met before we came here, and we're always trying to think of how can we get our faces out there, how can we get people to recognize who we are. And he's getting ready to have a play, Cinderella, at the high school. He's in the musical, and he said, why don't you guys buy a little sponsorship in the little playbill that we're doing? Like, well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of that yet, but he's 14. He thought of that's a good idea. So that is one of the 3 aims, is to get the community concerns, get to know what you guys are concerned about, what you would like to know, and your perceptions about like the contaminations and the associated health risk or health concerns that you've had over time. So that's one of the 3 aims or goals. I say goals, they say aims because I'm smart differently, right? So I had to think about that for a minute. The second aim or goal is that they're gonna do their own. Each university is gonna do their own study. So like IU, Purdue, and the University of Illinois at Chicago, they're all gonna do kind of their own study about like health things, health exposures and things like that. And then you want to talk about one of you guys want to talk about what each college is doing? That'd probably be a good idea, since I probably can't articulate that very well, but maybe you can.
Tom, talk about that.
Tom,
Or Wade, you want to?
Tom, Wade, thank you.
Yeah, Wade is
Help.
involved into the aim 1.
Yeah. So Tom mentioned earlier, I forgot whenever I was introducing myself, but I'm a part of MISA. My role at MISA is technically the research coordinator, but really I work a lot with Eve Pinsker, who is a social scientist at University of Illinois at Chicago. And we talked about this aim 1 of like community participation. And there's this term called community-based participatory research. And like, what does that mean, really? How do you hear? Well, there's this problem with research, and community-based participatory research kind of flips it all on its head. So you hear stories all the time of like universities coming in, doing research in a place, they figure out something, they write it in their notebook, they take it back to their college, and what happens with it? Like, who knows? So participatory research is, well, the community through participation, it's like almost the opposite of that. So it's really ground up and built from the community instead of put on the community. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be recruiting people for focus groups interviews, just trying to gauge like what people think of when they think of a healthy community. And you know, over the course of a couple of years, doing all of that in Martinsville is going to give us a better idea of what people would like to see happen. And I mean, you know, that might seem simple, like, oh yeah, we want clean air, we want clean water. But when it comes to like where we can actually make changes, it's a bit harder to figure out. You know, right now I can't tell you what those changes are going to look, but through this community participatory research, hopefully we're going to have a much better idea of how we can kind of thing. I don't know if that was good.
That was good. That's the University of Illinois at Chicago. That's kind of their piece.
Wait, that's important. I want to do a little bit detour between we introduce each university's role and responsibility and which part we are responsible for. I want to bring up what Bethany said during our pre-session conversation about rumors. You want to talk about rumors? It's related to community participatory.
Well, we were kind of going around the table and we were asking each other why we were. And one thing that I mentioned was that I just get tired of hearing all the rumors about Martinsville. Whether you live outside of Martinsville, you live inside of Martinsville, you lived here, you moved away, came back, whatever, wherever you're at. Everyone always, there's rumors, whether it has to do with contamination or the water or things that have happened here over time. A lot of it is rumors, and I just want to find out what the truth is. I want us to have a healthy community. Just try to make some change. So, just would like to see some rumors held, and like Mayor Costin was saying, you know, and Dr. Lou was saying, the water's been tested. How it's tested? How often is it tested?
Every day.
Every day. It's tested every day. So, the water is safe to drink, especially as far as it has PCE. We're okay to drink. Something to say about the water, whereas air. So
I still want to randomly test water 3-4 times a year to confirm that.
Okay.
Works.
They do test it.
Yeah. So
all right. Do you want to talk about Purdue's portion? I mean, we did the University of Chicago and.
Right. This is who said it takes a village, and I heard this term here in this group last time when we were here on porch time. It takes a village, no matter it's from community side or from researcher side. We have a large collaboration, not just people from Purdue, and we have people from multiple investigators, researchers from Purdue. Lots of students are involved, graduate student, PhD level, master level, and undergraduate students. Martinsville community members may saw some students walking in the community and door to door and collect samples hand in hand with Martinsville community members, like Ken, Stephanie, Bethany, everyone. Wade. Kathy, Neil. So Purdue students and faculty members been working on this. In this recently funded NIH large grant, we have more collaborators. They are from University of Illinois at Chicago, from epidemiology, from biostatistician, statistic group, and also from community engaged research, from public health evaluation. So we have multiple groups, multiple investigators from University of Chicago. They will lead the component of community engagement and epidemiology study design and the implementation of epidemiology study component, as well as data analysis, because we have biostatistics from Chicago. And for the other part, the health part, the cancer research also led by University of Illinois Chicago by the Dr. Mary Tariq, and also a retired professor named as Leslie Tanner. Is a cancer epidemiologist specialized in cancer research. Then that's the group from University of Chicago. We also have researchers from IU, and we have a neurologist. His name is David Carrican. He's a neurologist, and we also have a neuro MD, medical doctor. His name is Gavin McKee, and we have these two, either PhD or MD from IU, who are going to lead the component to assess adult neurocognitive function. So we are going to test the vision and the color vision and color vision memory, and also test the adult cognitive function using iPad-based test. No blood draw, no urine test. All we need to do is test exhale breath and potentially test indoor air, test water, and also do the visual test and the iPad-based neural function. And this visual neural function test component is going to be led by researchers from India. And since this is a 5-year project, we are growing our collaboration. Potentially, we are going to have other researchers from other institutions do geospatial, geohydraulic research. And I think Martinsville, Tom, you want to talk about how this can develop a roadmap for other community, because Martinsville is not a victim, and Martinsville can be a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, how many Superfund sites are in the state of Indiana? Or not even that, if either that number or how many cities or county, state have Superfund sites?
Well, if we look nationwide, there's over 1,700.
Right.
If we look in Indiana, not just counting Superfund sites, but toxic sites,
Okay.
there's 971 that we know.
Right, so we're not alone.
So we're not alone. And then we have coal ash pits, for 86 of them, which is the heavy metals in Indiana. We have more of those in Indiana than any other state in the country. Indiana is also known as being #1 in the country for toxic emissions per square mile. So we have contemporary emissions going on, same time we're doing remediation. Oh, now I forgot your question.
How many Superfund sites?
Well,
Oh, no, okay.
I
got one of the outcomes of what we wanted to do here was we're not alone. There's other communities here. And this week I was talking to a couple people from Hartford City. They have a similar situation going on, and we're starting to work with them on looking at when you have a community like this. People don't know the questions to ask. They don't know what the chemicals are. They don't know how they affect them, but they do see the results. Right. They see childhood cancers, the undeveloped areas. They see areas of blight because of industries that were there and their factories are setting empty. But they don't know how to go about cleaning and how to look at it. So one of our outcomes will be like a template, a game plan about you have this in your community. You start here, A, B, C, go right on through. And when we also start looking at some of the behavioral and neurological problems, Indiana University has come out with a study recently how lead, which is known to be a behavioral, causes behavioral problems, they related it directly to juvenile delinquency and incarceration. So when we're looking at behavioral issues, that's going to be another element. We can do an overlay. We'll find out there has been exposure. Then we look at cultural issues. What is the dropout rates? What are special education rates in? Has that affected that because of neurological or behavioral issues? Crime rates. Crime rates, when we look in some communities, we see that people involved, they are neurological compromised or behaviorally compromised. And a lot of times when we look at their neighborhoods, what do we find?
Contamination.
We find contamination. So this can grow any number of ways, and it can have a huge impact for a lot of issues. But, you know, we are having to look at one little piece at a time and build each step up, but we can see that that progression is where it's going.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we get to, if after we do aim 1 and aim 2, the third aim is obviously research to action. So for example, like what Tom started, the MISA, the Martinsville, Indiana Superfund Site Association, you know, the EPA has the, you know, it became nationally recognized by the EPA, and now the EPA is coming in to remediate homes. So that's what research to action is. So hopefully, obviously after they've done the research, if there's anything to come, then we can get the ball rolling on getting our community cleaned up if we any of that.
You know, we have other, you know, locally we have several other grants we're working on, which will may come up in the future. Wade mentioned the community-based participatory research, and last year there is a community-based participatory research academy, and they select 12 communities for a year-long research program. We were selected for that last year, so Dr. Lou and I just went through that, and we got a small grant from that we're using to work with the high school to develop a high school program if the kids want to come on board and work with us. And another thing I wanted to build into through our MISA, of the local community-based organization, is a high school environmental science scholarship. So that's something we want to work on in the community here in the future. And maybe at the end of our 5-year study, we'll have a environmental science scholarship for high school students. So there's a lot of community action. And
Get involved.
get involved.
We need you, right?
Yeah. Don't shy away. We knock on your door or we see you at an event. This is an opportunity. An opportunity for Martinsville. It's an opportunity. Very important.
So in these past 2 years, we got lots of help from community already. Not to mention this group and Kevin's studio time, and we got great, strong support from city. Help us distribute letters and study information, and also we got help from school district, and they also help us make the call out of our activities. We were able to present at multiple groups, including Rotary Club, and there are so many people, school teachers and other people, parents, been supporting us, churches. So we are very grateful. And for this particular grant, we've been work hard on this grant for almost 3 years. And we got a letter of support from many people, from city, from mayor's office, from individual citizens, from groups. So this is really a success for not just the researchers, but for success for group of people, for this village, for Martinsville. We are grateful, and we are looking forward to work with Martinsville community, individuals, groups, and the city, and the EPA. And yeah, so to in this upcoming 5 years, you want to talk about the EPA relationship?
Well, we're really fortunate. I think we have a very local relationship with the EPA. And they've been really responsive to what was going on here. And remember too that we were the only Superfund site in the state of Indiana that was funded for clean. So now whether our input and the actions we've been doing over these years led up into that, you know, that I would say probably a little bit, because we were the only ones in the state that the EPA did start a community action board in response to what. So we had a very definite flow back from the community to the EPA about how we felt here. And the city did hire Dr. Tim Adams, who worked directly with the EPA and IDEM on developing the ROTA decision in response to what type of remediation is going to happen here. So we do have a very open door there. We're very fortunate. And that's also a good thing for the state of Indiana, I think, because Region 5 covers all the state. And some of the people from the EPA who work on our site working on other sites. So when they see how we are relating, and the communities where some of the other sites are have contacted us, they've seen our relationship and how we've done it. It's working out really well. So we're very fortunate.
Yeah. And so I'd like to just piggyback off of what you said too, that you said that we are going to, that you got a small grant to start working with a high school program. Hopefully there can be some environmental science group at the high school. And I'm super excited because I have a student there, a 14-year-old that's a freshman, and maybe he can become part of this because I know that he loves our community and he's directly affected, but well, he lost his dad. And if it were something environmental, I say it like that because we don't know, but it was a really super rare form of cancer that he had. And so anyway, if he gets to, in the high school, if Tom gets to have a lot of children in the high school in this environmental science club, then that's super exciting for our high school. Then we'll get the teenagers involved. They'll get to be able to come. They'll get to be able to help us. Actually, there have been teenagers that have already started helping us. So this isn't new. This will just be more of an opportunity for them to hear it more. They'll have more of a voice. And I've already met with a high school science teacher. She's super excited to get involved with us. They don't have a club yet, but hopefully that now that we have some money to maybe help support them or at least help them get involved with us. I just think that it's a really good idea to get, our school system has been super supportive. I mean, they've let us, we're going to have a table at homecoming so that you'll see our faces, see our shirts. We can give out information, educate people, at least say hi. I mean, I know it's going to be all exciting there, but you know, if we can have our teenagers get involved, maybe then they can even help educate their parents or younger siblings. Maybe it can just kind of trickle down. Hopefully we can get more word out so that the whole community can be involved. I think we do have some questions. I can't really read while I was talking, but
They were just talking about things in the community that could be affected by
Effects of this addiction. That was what she was asking, I believe.
Well, you know, actually that's a good point because one of the neurologists from IU, he is a addiction specialist as well. So, and that's one thing that comes up with exposure to all the organics as well. IU came out for it last few months, how it affects the dementia and Alzheimer's. So there are a lot of issues like that, especially you start looking at behavioral problems that lead to addiction. It is going to be a small component.
And we need to involve community from many aspects. One of it is this has happened. We work together to collect samples, and community members, like people in this group, already work with us for a couple of years. And moving forward, we are going to have hired position for field workers to work with us on this project. For example, we are looking into whether the visual cognitive function test can be performed by local community members, such as retired nurse, school teachers, or retired school psychologists. So that would really be the best option because they are local based, they are more available. They don't have to travel from IU or from Purdue, come here to do tests. Then the project has to pay the travel time and the mileage. And if we have local people being able to train to do the assessment, then we can open more time slot to see the participants and also really use the money in other places to support community rather than pay the mileage.
that's true.
Another point too that Beth has brought up, if we find any other issues like we have addiction problems, and if we find there is a direct behavioral relationship from exposure, what do we do with the addiction problems? There's always a shortage of money to addressing it because you don't have the data. But if we find some interesting data here that we can directly correlate to that, then that opens up the fact that we start applying for other grants to get more money coming into town to take care of these situations. So there are a lot of avenues here that we have a great foundation right now. This is a Indiana nonprofit. We're all set up to do grant filing and funding. So there's a lot of community issues that we can start addressing through here. But the big underlying basis is that there's never been the data before to support it. We can get the data from these studies and use it for greater community benefit.
There's one question on here. I don't know if you would have an answer. To tell this person to maybe how they can make. Danica says, "Would living next to the AES natural gas plant, formerly the coal, face some of the same CE through the air or groundwater or both?"
Well, that was a long time ago. When was that plant there?
I don't know, but I think
It's been
this
gone for
person, this
50
person may
years.
live over there now, and so they're wondering if.
Oh, now they live there now?
I'm assuming. So
Oh.
they're wanting to know if they're be worrying about pollution by living
Right,
next to the plant.
It's no longer there. It has been there for 50 years.
I think they're looking at how they're going to seal those
Those
ponds
ponds.
off.
Coal ponds.
Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah.
oh,
Lula.
IPL part. Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
AES now.
Oh, it's AES.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, that's there's a whole lot of issues about that, but the
I was gonna say, you're like, it's
yeah,
all that's
there's
all
a
over.
whole lot
I'm
of
like,
issues
what?
about that. But
Got an email about that.
yeah. But that's still going to be a groundwater issue there. We have like air, probably not. There's no particulates really anymore because the stacks are fired on gas. Coal ash is another issue. There's really not a whole lot of regulation in Indiana for. They want to close that pit and put a cap over it. It is in a floodplain. Those things have already breached 3 times and gone into the river fast historically. There's some very interesting historic photographs of the water coming down White River and how it is discolored after it passes the plant, which indicates something's being leached in the water at that point. The closure plan on that, they don't want to seal it, so it would still be exposed to. The problem that's going up there now is water table, it's been wet, the water tables are rising, the lower levels of that sludge that's in there has water in it.
So there's a lot of work to do there.
And they are pumping the water out because it can't be exposed to the water table, but pumping that water directly into the river. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to take care of that and enforce it. And one of the other studies we have coming up is we want to do a water study down the river. We'll be going all leaching points down the river and start testing the river to see what is where and where it's coming from.
This particular person is asking about the exhaust at the natural gas plant. Okay. You're good, Danica. You're good.
It'd be good. The only thing would still be groundwater up there. If you have a private water well within that vicinity, downstream from that, you should probably get the wells tested periodically.
So Eve got on here. Wrote, Pinsker, University of Chicago, our group. She says, "I was trying to comment on what Stephanie said earlier, emphasize what she said about needing ideas from kids up through seniors. Any ideas about how to build a healthier community are welcome and valuable."
All right, so Kevin, your point was valuable.
I thought it was as I was saying it, but
I ask all kinds of dumb
I just-
questions. They never make me feel dumb,
I
but
have
I know
thick
I've
skin.
asked a few.
I'll still jabber on, so it don't bother me.
It's okay. I know.
So for the community engagement part, we have multiple ways to hear community's voice. We have interview, and we plan to interview many people. I have to ask Eve. So we are going to do the focus group with 8 to 10 participants and 5 groups per group and 5 groups in each year. And then for interview, we are going to interview 6 to 10 interviewees each year and for next 5 years. So we really want to see hear community concerns. So the title of our project is the aim 1 is the first goal is to identify community concern, like people concerned about where they live, they're nearby, they live near potential contamination sources. So those concerns can all be voiced through participate the focus group interview. And also Tom mentioned, besides what we have designed in this project, and the community may want to do a community-wide survey just to gather the information from anyone. They may not be our participant, but they would like to voice their concern. So we are going to gather all those information and use those information in our study. And so thus, we welcome people to, if you have any concern, participate our study.
I have no
in any
concerns
way.
right now. Sorry. No, I think it's a great thing what you guys are doing for the community. It's awesome that the mayor and the city halls are working with you guys hand in hand. I think and just kind of a snapshot of the whole thing. We had water issues due to contaminants in one area. We thought after some research and some digging around, we found the one area shooting northwest up towards ball fields. Then we located other areas in the community. We've been filtering the water since the early 2000s. It's been below the EPA standard as acceptable for that long, still is this day. Wilcox Engineering is taking care of one of the plumes completely pretty much at this point in time. The EPA is taking care of the Superfund site pretty much, and the others are being worked on also. So the plumes themselves are not as big as issue for the water table in town. Now it's air. Now it's been air for like 2-3 years now, and we're working towards that. And it sounds like your study has went from the kids now to adults, and now you need adult participation from this community.
Right, we're going to.
In large numbers.
Next year, starting next year.
What is the timetable on that? When you're going to start wanting adults to show up?
Just after the first of the year.
So
we'll start
2023
working.
January.
Just 18 to 64. That's what we said, right?
Why are you cutting it off at 64? I'm just asking.
We don't like 65-year-olds. I'm just kidding.
Kinda
We
cool.
like them. I don't.
Say.
Well, this side of the table is going home.
I just said that
You
because
just cut half the room off.
that's just what they said. I don't know. I just sit here and look cute and tell them that's what they told me. So that's what I said. I knew the answer though. Did you see me blurt it out real fast?
It was an answer. I give you
The
that.
answer is correct. It's
That's right.
arbitrary, and we follow the rules. Did 18 to 65, and we were told 65 is not good. You have to do 64.
Uh-oh, here we go. We're going to have a panel.
Oh yeah, there are two things, smaller things I want to mention. We are going to have one part of our study is to use a tool called the Enviro app, and it's a smartphone app. People can take pictures, report anything they concern. Just take a picture and submit it. And we are going to take a human subject protective way approach to extract information and post those information in the website we are going to develop in this project. So we are going to use this smartphone app. We are going to develop a website to disseminate the information and our activities timeline, what's going on, and also put the interim results and the data we collect. Whenever it's ready, we are going to disseminate all those data information on the website specifically developed in this project.
I remember when you guys first started, somebody I thought did just an independent ask around, posted and talking about cancer deaths or cancer illnesses in the community at the time, and I thought they had mapped out quite a few, just pins on a map, and I don't know where that went, but that was alarming.
Wasn't that at the lead?
I think so, and that was alarming. I mean, to see that many pins in the heart of our city, from the bypass to 37 at that point in time. And I don't remember what happened to that, but you guys are talking about doing a cancer study. I was like, wait a minute. I thought some of this was already done at one point in time, and because there was a lot of pins stuck in the map, and then they have it broke down to like kind of sort of different versions, not too in depth, but some. I don't know whatever happened to that, but that was an alarming map, and I remember that, and I'm glad you recall that too. That was our first one I think we went to, you and I. That's when we were going at it tooth and nail every day.
Does anyone want to comment on this?
Well, I've been told that we can't use that data because it's not part of the Indiana register. It's not part of it's not usable for research. Is that right?
Well, that wasn't done under an IRB and generally
Yeah.
with consent.
Right.
So that's the issue why we can't use it for research.
Okay.
And I never saw that. We have talked about whether we want like the app that Saul just mentioned. You could actually do that. That people can independently go in and put that using the app and put that in there and mark it out. But we cannot, as researchers, do that just because of HIPAA. IRB
Even if they
considerations.
voluntarily gave the information out,
Well,
let's say
that's
through a
another
local
thing we talked
website.
About we'd have to get forms, release forms, and everything.
So
else.
if I made a poll on my page today and said, "Hey, if you had a cancer-related death or currently have cancer," and they gave that information independently, we couldn't use that
well, you know,
as a stepping stone or a starting point.
well, we might be able to, but then we'd have to go through the whole process.
Okay,
That may make
I'm just asking because I mean it just seems like it would be
because I have brought that up that independently, the local group, we could probably do that,
right.
and then
But the universities could.
but if to step that up to another grade to be able to use it, it's another category. But we could actually maybe use that raw data to say, okay, well, let's go out and get these people. But then there's a concept of randomicity here, that the whole process is. So
Yeah, on that note, people comment there, people can come up and welcome to be part of the community discussion. So people, if they want to share their story, their cancer experience, their family members, how the family being impacted by cancer, people are welcome to share those information by participating in the discussion. However, in order to do a cancer study, we have to collect data in a systematical way and with the approval from internal review board. We cannot just accept individual data in this fashion without design. Another thing is I want to comment on that those kind of cancer map can be visually striking. Because thinking about the lifespan being longer and longer, people become healthier and healthy, and everyone has 30% of the whole population get cancer when they get into 70s, 80s. So if we just pinpoint cancer in a map, we can see lots of dots. So that data may have meaning buried underneath related to contamination. However, it's very hard to parse out whether it's related to contamination or it's just the general population. Every community, if you do a map, it will become very visually striking. We don't know, it's hard to. That's why we need to do a well-designed cancer study with epidemiologists. Epidemiology use state registered data. So that's the value of this study. But I still appreciate community concern and their efforts looking into this issue.
I love that question. I love that Kevin asked that because one thing that I've learned working with all of the
You're trying
researchers,
to suck up now. You're trying to cover up for the last one.
no,
It
is
didn't work
that,
way.
well, listen, I've been working with them for a long time, and one thing is they have a lot of rules to follow. Like, you know, like Kevin and I
don't
may
know
want,
rules.
we might want to jump in and start pinning everything on a map, which is a great idea. Like, because you know we want to solve it because it affects a lot of people. And
I mean, if you want to strike someone's attention, you show them a map like that, and everybody's
Heck
going to come
yeah.
blowing a tube, I guarantee, because that map was alarming to me, and I still remember it from 5 years ago.
right, and people can
And,
show their
and whether
stories.
it's a span of a lifetime of 0 to 70 or an age group of 30 to 50, we have a cancer research center here for some reason.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks have died from cancer in this reason for some reason. And you tie that in with a map like that, and you're going to something's wrong.
Yeah.
So now you can start a point to start your research, and,
Right.
and maybe more people will come forward with something like that. That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You
You
want
know,
to
I-
get people involved. You show them I mean, I remember as a kid, the one of the most things vividly in my mind were the drinking and driving commercial they did. It was fake, but it showed the girls getting hit in the car and everything. You don't forget that. So that's the last thing you want to go through is, oh, I'm not going to drink and drive. I don't want anything like that. But that image sticks with you. So anyway, I'll be quiet again. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and also shows having cancer on that map, the contributing factor could be this happened before.
Sure.
So yeah, but I agree, visualization and how to present data, how to present information, that's super important.
100%.
Ken, you haven't been able to say anything yet. Would you like to? Is there anything you'd like to add, or anything you'd like to?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the new kid on the block with this. I came to this group because of a friend, and but quickly was, and all these folks have talked about this, but I guess let me focus on it. What's so I think incredible about this collaborative nature of this? You have a governmental entity, PA. You have a local action group like me. You have multiple researchers at multiple universities. You have politicians. With all coming together but with a common goal, and that's pretty unique. And these folks are asking really that to kind of go to the next level, next stage, and I mean not H, because all the money that they're saying, hey, go do this, but that collaborative is going to go to the next level with the community, because you're going to be asking for a lot of people's help here. So help us.
Right on. That's one of the major reason why. That's one of the major reason why NIH willing to fund us, because of this strong collaboration.
All I want to say is very, very important. I've been down here about 8 years, Indianapolis, South Side, and I've just been involved with this. It's a passion of mine now. I'm a retired nurse. I've seen a lot of different cancers at different. I've met down. All seem to say, "Oh yeah, I had cancer." They were all different. A lot of different cancers, some blood cancers, whatever, and that kind of got me thinking that something was going on a little bit. Concerned me. Then when I found out about Purdue coming down here, and I wanted to sign off with that, I feel it's been my honor to be associated with this group. They're working hard. They know, and anything I can do to help. Everybody, we're nice. Knock your door that hard, but we kind of pester you a little bit. I will admit that. But it's for good reasons, and please open the door. And it's been very good and good information for you guys, and just listen to it. It's for well-being, or somebody that you be a family member or good.
Anybody else?
Mayor Costin, got anything you want to add?
Not to
No,
put you on the spot.
I just appreciate the group being here, and we continue to struggle with what was done to our community many years ago.
I agree.
Maybe one last thing I want to reiterate or emphasize on is what community thinks really matters. As an outsider, and I'm lucky to be welcomed by this community and all these good friends and my collaborators in this room and beyond. At the same time, I heard people saying nobody drinks city water, even they don't give their pets city water for drinking. And I also heard people saying, I've been drinking this water for 60 years. My whole family drink this water. See how healthy I am, right? And I heard people saying, this is a sleeping town, and we all go work and shopping in other places and only come back sleep. And at the same time, I see, by knowing Stephanie, Bethany, this group of people, I know how active how lovely this community is. So researchers as outsiders really don't know much of this community. And in the end, on Eve's node, it's up to community to decide what you want to do with the information. And the researchers are here to help find out, gather the data, find out the truth, and help interpret the results. It's up to community decide how to use this data, what action. And
Well, is that it for today, folks? Anybody got anything else they want to add? I appreciate you guys all coming in. It seems like about every 6 months, I see many of your smiling faces in here. Some a little more than others, but it's good. It's good for the community, and we're glad to help give you a platform that you can be heard on. So, thank you all. When will we see you again? Springtime, perhaps.
We are
Before then.
planning. We are planning an in-person community project launch meeting. It will be in person, and this group, our core group, will decide when we want to do that.
I want to address this lunch and this dinner thing. You guys have these meetings at lunchtime and dinner times. Launch, but you had a dinner meeting tonight, right? Kenny, did you get invited to that?
Yeah.
He was there.
I didn't get invited. I mean, I never get invited to these dinner things, and they always come in. Woo! We just went to gather around, discussed everything. I'm like, well, hell, you don't need me then. You already had your meeting, and you ate. So, I mean,
we will see you
Kevin, I'm right
sooner
there
than
with
6.
I know. Yeah, we're meeting at 6 at gather around. We'll be on porch time at 7. So, okay, I got it. So. No, we're always happy to have you. Poke a little fun at you. It's a very serious topic. I take it to heart. I watched my mom and dad die of cancer. Like I said, my brother and his son and other family members have dealt with it. Friends, family. It's a miserable thing that takes a lot of loved ones from us. And anything we can do to help prevent future families to suffer through this, I'm glad we're involved. For a city that was known for its drinking water and water that was world renowned for healing people, hell, it's killing us quicker than anything at one point in time. It seems like now it's not the water, it's the air. And hopefully we can put that out too, and then maybe get to the brass tacks of what's caused most of this as we move forward in time. We may not be around to see it, but at least you get the ball rolling. So, any other questions or comments?
Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome. Glad to have you. All right, folks. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Fun group, very hard workers, and they got one big grant coming our way so far. And watch the page, listen to these ladies and guys as they go around town. Help them out. We need the numbers, the research. They're going to be starting in January, correct? Yep.
Maybe sooner than that.
Maybe
We'll
sooner.
see.
You'll see them around town. Just go up and talk to them. They'll give you the information you need. Go on their website. And like I said, we will see you Friday night at homecoming. Can't wait for that. Let's fill that stadium up. You guys will be there too. You have a booth? Mm-hmm. You guys have a booth at homecoming? Stop there and talk to them. Go Arties. Love you guys. We will see you soon.